Hello and welcome to Hey, Ask Me Stuff, the show where you get to, hey, ask me stuff. It's amazing how much thought went into that title and everything. I am your host, Ken Coughlin, and today we have a really good episode planned for you, and we have a special guest. But before I introduce the special guest, before I forget, I got to introduce our producer again. And our esteemed producer back there behind the window is...
B.A. Thomas. Nice to meet you. He almost called me lovely. I caught that.
I almost called you lovely. I know. Well, okay, you know why I almost called you lovely?
Because we have a lovely special guest today.
We do, but that's actually... Mary Kay, my wife, was the producer of the last live show we used to do back at Trinity Talk Live. And whenever I would always introduce her, I would always say, our lovely producer, which was okay because she was my wife. Probably not a good idea to call my associate media director lovely, but no. You are. You're a lovely person,
Oh,
BA.
thank you. Thank you
are. And on that note, let's introduce our special guest here today. Why don't you tell people who you are and a little bit about yourself?
Oh, I am Valerie Hunter. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ and a grateful employee of Trinity Lutheran Christian School.
And what do you do for Trinity Lutheran
I
Christian
am
School?
the school counselor, so I get to be with all of the kids from the littles until the 8th grade this year, and the staff, which is my great joy.
That is, and she is a very good counselor as well, I will say.
Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. So the reason why we asked Valerie to come on the show today was because of the topic of conversation. Actually, before I get into that, I want to give a quick shout out and let him know that I did notice, in case he is watching, even though I haven't gotten to respond to his comments yet, Brian Brownell. Brian Brownell was a regular viewer of our last live show that ended last fall, Trinity Talk Live. Used to be a very active participant and commenting on it, and we would interact with him live on air. And Brian, if you happen to be watching this one, I just wanted to let you know, yes, I did see your comments on our first episode of this program, so thank you for giving this new show a chance. I really appreciate it. And I will respond to some of your questions here. I just didn't have time yet this week, and we might in the future start doing them on the air, kind of like we did for Trinity Talk Live. You know, if you comment on one week's show, we would talk about the comments at the beginning of the next week's show. Can't do that today, though, because we have a special guest, and I don't want to take any time away from her.
Sorry, Brian.
But I wanted to say hi to Brian. Thanks for watching. All right, so, I'm sorry? Oh, yeah, I'll get there. Yeah, thank you. That's a good idea. I should do that, too.
You should probably tell
I should tell them a little bit more about the show and how. If this is your first time watching the program, let me tell you about how you can get your topic on the air. The point of this show is the entire thing is determined by what you, the viewer, want us to talk about. And we have different ways you can tell us what you want us to talk about. The easiest way is to go to our website, trinityjoppa.org/askmestuff. You go to trinityjoppa.org/askmestuff. There is a form there that you can fill out with anything that you want to ask. Anything about Christianity, faith, God, Jesus, anything that's on your mind. You fill out that form, you submit it, we receive it, and then we look at those submissions and decide if there is something we want to be talking about on the program. So that's one way you can do it. Another way you can do it is on Reddit. If you are on Reddit, we do have a subreddit called Talk About God. We are also Trinity Joppa on Reddit. You can send us a message in the Reddit lounge, as somebody did for a previous show's topic. Or every Monday, we often will post a more general, broad question about maybe something that someone else has said that we're thinking about. Well, maybe this is the direction we want to go with the show this week. And you can comment on that question and give us your thoughts on that. And that's another way that you can get your topic and your ideas on the program. And we're going to be talking about a lot of comments from Reddit on today's show, as a matter of fact. Now, please, if you do like this program, we're asking that you go ahead and click that like button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We got a lot of great content here on the Trinity Joppa YouTube channel. And click that bell button so that you make sure you don't miss out on anything and you get the notifications. Now, for today's topic of discussion is, does the church care about my mental health? This actually originally came out of a gathering that we had here at Trinity a couple months ago now, where we had invited a lot of 18 to 30-year-olds to kind of just have an open forum and tell us what are your thoughts about the church, not just Trinity, but the church, the Christian church as a whole. What are the pros? What are the cons? What are the things you think the church is doing well? What do you think it could do better? What would you like to see in a church? And there was a lot of great feedback. It was a wonderful opportunity, I thought, for us as a church to get that feedback. And one of the things that came up was this question. There was a concern that maybe the church isn't doing as much as it could to help care for people's mental health. Obviously, we do a lot of things as a church body physically. You know, a lot of churches have food closets. They will do clothes. They will provide shelter. You know, we got a lot of homeless shelters, things like that. But the question that arises, despite all these things that the church does for people's physical health, is the church doing enough for people's mental health? And so we did ask on Reddit about what people's thoughts were about the church and mental health. And we got a few comments. And I want to start out, BA, by asking you to read a couple of those comments, if you don't mind. Edit them for content, please. This is like, some of the language wasn't appropriate for us.
That's me.
But those first, you see the 4 that I got highlighted on the sheet there?
Oh, yeah.
Can you read those first 2, please, for me?
Absolutely. Oh, before I do, I want to say hi on the air to Ben Gorski, to Sylvia Harris, to Chloe Foster. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everybody.
My peeps.
So the very first comment, charismatic and Pentecostal churches who blame everything on demons are harmful to their congregants. Deliverance services are expletive. From Rockbane on Reddit. The second one, the Western church is moving in an atheist direction. Most churches don't have the power to address spiritual struggles, so they chalk everything up to psychological disorders from biblical Christianity. The third one, putting our problems at the feet of God is great, but sometimes you got to find relief from your symptoms. That one doesn't have a name on it.
And I asked my 20-year-old daughter, who compiles these things for me every Wednesday morning, to look through the comments and tell me which ones that she thought really stood out to her, something to talk about. And these were some of the ones she pointed out. And specifically with those first 2 that BA read, what she pointed out to me is it almost seems like these people are coming at it from opposite perspectives. You've got this one viewpoint out there that the church is not taking into account any type of physiological, anything other than a spiritual dimension, saying that all mental health issues are purely demonic possessions. And you've got the flip side of the coin, where you've got a lot of people out there that are saying kind of the opposite. They're ignoring the spiritual aspect of the spiritual battles we go through and saying it's all due to these very secular, non-theological, non-spiritual reasons. And so I just wanted to kind of start out by saying, kind of get my piece out of the way, and then I'm going to let Valerie do the rest of the talking today. is that the truth, if we look biblically speaking, the truth is in the middle, all right? We have both. Whether it's, and actually I'm going to ask you, because you gave a great presentation this morning, I'm going to ask you to share some of the examples, the scripture you had in a minute about, the real struggles we see that people have in the Bible. But when we're talking about any kind of condition, whether it be physical, whether it be mental health, let's look at Jesus' example, for example. Jesus did a lot of healings, all right? Absolutely. And so when it came to whether it be people who were blind or healing lepers or paralytics, things like that, he did an awful lot of healings that had nothing to do with demonic possession. You look at these healings, at no point does it ever say he's casting out demons. So clearly there are medical issues, and Jesus acknowledges that some things are medical issues. At the same time, he also cast out demons. Yes, he did. Okay? He did both. And so there's also a spiritual battle going on, and some of the things that we confront also have that element to them. And so I think we as Christians need to, when we're approaching this question of what we can do to help people with mental health, I think we need to acknowledge that there's truth in both. There are medical issues, real legitimate medical issues that people are dealing with, and there are spiritual battles that people are dealing with. And maybe the approach is different, or maybe it's combined. Maybe I don't know. This is what I'm going to ask you about in a minute, about how we handle that. But that's kind of the general perspective when I see these first comments. So I do think it's a mistake for the church to go all the way one way or all the way the other way. We need to have a balanced approach to how we're doing it. Now, you gave some great examples this morning about speaking specifically to mental health now, about mental health struggles we see people in the Bible actually having. You mind sharing any of that?
No. So today I had the great joy of talking about suicide prevention, but I didn't want to just say, look out for suicidal thoughts with the kids, but because we all experience times of despair. And even people in the Bible, our biblical heroes, despair of life. especially like David.
Mm-hmm.
So in Psalm, I don't know where my
They're
notes
here.
are. He made notes for me.
That'd be my daughter again. I got to give her credit. She did it.
Thanks, Sarah. Psalm 42:11. David said, "Why, my soul, are you downcast? Why so disturbed within me? Put your hope in God, for I will yet praise him, my Savior, my God." And then we also know that Elijah was a man of God, and he did great things with the prophets of Baal and showed everybody there is one true God. But then when Jezebel said, "I'm going to get you," he was scared and he wanted to die. And he said in 1 Kings 19:4, "I've had enough, Lord. Take my life. I'm no better than my ancestors." And Jonah, and we all know Jonah in the whale. If my VeggieTales friends might know it from.
Jonah was a prophet. No more. We don't have to pay royalties to this.
No more royalties. Jonah had to go and talk to the people of Nineveh about their sin. And then when they repented, he was mad. So he wanted to die. And he said in Jonah 4:3, "Now, Lord, take away my life, for it's better for me to die than to live." And go ahead.
So we do see, and this is a
Yes.
great point you made this morning. It's like if we were asking, if the topic of the show today was, does God care
Yes.
about our mental health? The answer is clearly yes, because you see legitimate struggles.
Mm-hmm.
And then I liked how you also went on from there and you talked about, kind of how God responds to that. I mean, how do we know that God cares about these people?
Well, for like David, he always came to him. David would come back with comforting words because we can see him written all through the Psalms. And with Elijah, he sent birds to feed him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he sent birds to feed him. And then with Jonah, he healed him. And with Job, he got double for his trouble. And I love a rhyme. I love a rhyme. It is always on time. But Job lost everything. And even his wife said, "Curse God and die." And his friends are like, "What did you do? Because surely you have sinned." But, and Job said, "I have no peace. I have no quiet. I have no rest, but only turmoil. Everything gone." But in the end, and I didn't say this morning, Ken, but what's exciting is that Job is a type of Jesus, like a forerunner of Jesus. And he prayed for those friends or frenemies. Mm-hmm. And when he prayed for his friends, the Lord turned his situation around. So God does care. He does care. And Jeremiah, the weeping prophet, said, "Why did I ever come out of the womb to see trouble and sorrow unto the end of my days?" But we know that God has a plan for each of us, and he does care. We would not have these examples in the Bible if the church doesn't care. But do we need to do better? Absolutely.
Well, and that's the next question then. So we clearly, if we were to use the Bible as our foundation, like we should, all right, then we can clearly see, yes, people do have legitimate mental health struggles. Yes, God does care and wants us to show love to them. So then the next question then becomes, okay, now let's take that practical step. If that's what we should be doing, how do we go about doing that? So if someone came to you and asked you, how should the church, or what can the church do to help people with their mental health struggles, what kind of advice would you give them?
I would say, first of all, be friendly. One of my home pastor from my home church where I grew up said some Christians look like they have been sucking on a lemon. So I like, be friendly. It starts at the door. Be friendly. And be a listener. What can we do? We can be a listener and give people our undivided attention. Be a listener. Be a soft place to land. Let people know that you're interested in their troubles. Just listening is a great thing. Not giving unsolicited advice. Not just giving platitudes, but honestly being there. The ministry itself of presence is what we can do on the micro level, just being there for somebody. But on the macro level, the big level, the church, the local assembly, we can provide classes. We can provide Bible studies. Like at Mountain, we have CR. here you have the Heart Ministry, and I took a picture of Heart, but I can't remember what it stands for. But
Health Education Advocacy Response Team.
There you go. Thank you. I took the picture, but I didn't need it because Ken was here. So, supply groups. When you go to a big church, there is nothing better than a group, mentor programs, places where people can hook up, fellowship. We need to pray, pray, pray. Of course, we need to pray, but we got to stay locked in with each other. Giving books, resources, places you can go, therapist numbers, numbers to call. And I have some of those that I could share. This is what I think.
Yeah, I mean, here's, I'll ask you to share those in a second. I want to talk a little bit about what we were talking about before we went on the air a little bit today, because this is the big struggle that I see that maybe some people out there in the church may have. One of the big questions they may have, and maybe that gives them some hesitancy to moving forward. I know, and I've shared before, that I've had my own struggles in my life with mental health issues, and specifically depression was one thing that I had a major issue with probably over a decade ago now. Still struggle. You never really. It's kind of like I say, it's like alcoholism. It never goes away completely. You've got to be aware of it. You can always rear up again. But there was certainly a time in my life when it was very much a problem. And the way I described that I felt at the time was, number one, I didn't want to tell anybody about it. I don't know if it was pride or whatever. I didn't want to admit to it. And I also felt a complete lack of motivation to do anything about it.
Oh, yeah.
So, so if I'm just an average person in the pew, for example, what should I be looking out for to know if because somebody else, my fellow congregation member, may not want to open up and may not be openly saying, yes, I need help, because maybe they just don't want to admit to that. So are there things that we can be looking for to recognize when someone is in need, and then how do we approach them?
Oh, there's a lot of good things there. The first thing, when I was listening to you talk, the first thing that we need to be as Christians is transparent. Because your transparency opens up my transparency. Your vulnerability opens up my vulnerability. And to remove stigma, we have to talk about things. So other people can feel like, I am not alone. I am not alone. Oh, Ken feels depressed sometimes. I mean, I struggle with depression and anxiety. I have to fight. The real battle is in your mind.
Yeah.
It is in your mind, which is Bible study I might be doing. Around the battlefield of the mind. But what can you do to help? I love an acronym. WAIT. W. Watch out for distress or behavior changes. So somebody that's really struggling, they may be sleeping too much. They may be sleeping too little. They may have, they may be doing risky behaviors. They may be isolating themselves. They may seem not like themselves, just more distressed, calling themselves a burden, feeling hopeless, saying things of hopelessness. Somebody that's suicidal, they may be saying goodbye to people, giving things away, reckless behaviors. That's in a real bad situation. But if somebody is in your pew and you're at church and you see that they sit by themselves, you can tell on their countenance when they're not happy. You might want to go reach out to that person. Hey, I'm Ken. Glad you are here, or even just getting in proximity with them or inviting them to something. Invitations are huge. Just, I'm glad to see you.
Yeah, and because sometimes you invite them to something. What is it? People have to know you. They have to know. I'm blanking on the expression right now, but it's basically people have to know you care before they care about what you're going to say. Yeah, something along those
people
lines.
have to know you care before they
care about what you know.
Care about what you know.
Yeah, yeah. So, and so
like that.
Same kind of thing. You inviting them, you can foster that relationship. We have a comment on air.
Yeah, we do.
All right, you want to read that for us, please?
Absolutely. The comment is from Chloe. It's probably Chloe, not Chloe, my bad. I think leadership should be transparent about their own personal mental health struggles, if they have any too, so members of the church can realize they aren't alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So
no,
I had it right there. I was showing it to you, so you
Hi,
would not have to struggle.
Chloe.
Because I have
yes.
VA in my ear and she does not. So.
Oh, yes. Leadership, 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 leadership.
Well, let me ask you, and that's I think it's a really great point that Chloe brings up here because I think, is there a perception sometimes in our churches that we expect like our leaders they've got it all together. We want our pastor should be that person who has it all together, or do pastors maybe feel that that's the way they're perceived, and so they're afraid to be vulnerable and to be open up about, hey, I'm human too. Mm-hmm. I've had these struggles, and is it better off? Are we all better off if we all acknowledge that we don't put anybody up on a white horse, and we understand that we're all humans. We all struggle with this, and then that maybe creates that environment you're talking about, where somebody's more willing to be transparent.
Yeah, I think that you're so right, because a pastor, forgive me, is just a person. He is just a person that is called. He is not perfect, and it puts him in a box, honestly, that he cannot be who he is. If a pastor can get up and say, guys, I am struggling with this, I was diagnosed with that, that is huge. That is huge. And that's what Chloe said. We started talking about that right after she said it. And I do have a friend that is watching that is a pastor's wife who will tell you no one can stand on a pedestal.
Yeah.
You just can't. They're just people.
They're inevitably going to fall off because none of us are perfect. Mm-hmm. You put someone on a pedestal, you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
And for real, it is idolatry.
Yeah.
Which is, again, number one, thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Our objective, where we should be looking, we should always be having our eyes on Jesus. Mm-hmm. And when we set someone else as being that model, then you're right. It's a form of idolatry where we're saying, okay, this is my goal of who I want to be like, as opposed to Jesus over here being my goal of who I want to be like. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because you're right. We live in a culture that we do that with celebrities, with musicians. And it's like, have you ever actually looked at these rock stars that people think have these grand lifestyles, and you talk to them and they can be some of the most depressed people on the earth?
For real. Yes. Yes.
And
because money doesn't, do everything. Although I like to think it does, but it doesn't.
It's not going to cure that. Yeah.
It is not.
Well, let me shift focus a little bit because now we've talked about how, what the church can do to be looking out and to try to help and to support people. Well, actually, before I move on for that, you mentioned some numbers and some resources.
Oh, I didn't finish my acronym. Wait.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Wait. Watch out for distress and changing behaviors. Mm-hmm. Ask the person how they are feeling. Specifically, if you think that person is suicidal, you can gently but directly ask them, are you thinking of killing yourself? Are you thinking of harming yourself?
And you mentioned this morning that some people might be hesitant to do that because they think that that's actually putting the idea in their head, but you say it's not.
But no, studies show that helps with the prevention. So instead of, you're not giving them the idea, like, hey, thought about killing yourself? No. You're asking them, is that what you're thinking? Mm-hmm. And hopefully in a compassionate and caring way, that person can tell you yes. At which point you want to assure them that it will pass. Assure them whatever feelings that they are having, they will pass. And feelings can't really hurt us. They can't hurt us. They feel like they can. And they when you're panicked and you try to push the panic down, that's when you get the panic attack. So if you can welcome it and accept, okay, I am feeling this way. But as a person on the outside, a helper, you want to let them know that it will pass. I'm not trying to diminish your feelings of fear or defeat or hopelessness or any of that, but it will pass. It's common. And talk to a professional. If that person really is trying to harm themselves, you want to get them to the hospital, the urgent care, call 911 if you need to. You can go into inpatient and get the groups and the help that you need and the medicine that you need to get your chemicals back in balance. And then you want to see a therapist for however long time. I will tell you, I'll take a pill in a minute. And I love my therapist.
Well, Well, speaking of that, you say call 911. We actually have another
Yes.
hotline now.
Oh, yeah. 988 is the national hotline. And
Specifically
also
for mental health issues,
for
right?
suicide and mental health issues. The National Suicide Prevention Line is 1-800-273-TALK, TALK, or 1-800-273-8255. That is a 24-hour hotline. It's also 988. You can call or text 988 to talk about your crisis or talk about your suicidal thoughts. And it doesn't just have to be for suicide. You can call to talk about your depression. You can call to talk about your anxiety. And there is a group called Grassroots out of Columbia where people can just talk to a live person about whatever their struggles are. You can text HOME, HOME, to 741-741 to speak with an actual caring counselor. Also, you can go online, www.crisistextline, CRISISTEXTLINE.org, crisistextline.org. The Klein Family Harford Crisis Center is 1-800-639-8783, and that is in Harford County on Bel Air Road. And NAMI, the National Association of Mental Illness, is a group that talks about it's all around the country, but we have a local office. And if you are in a relationship with somebody that's struggling, because 1 in 4 adolescents or young adults, young people are struggling with a mental health issue. If you are one of those people, you can go to NAMI for a support group as well.
I'll tell you what we'll do. If you'll leave that with me,
Yeah.
when the show is over, I will put all that information in the description so that anybody who's watching the show after the fact can have access to all those numbers.
Yes.
Right? So let me, before
that'd be lovely.
sign out of here, I want to kind of shift focus one last time because we've been talking a lot about, I started out by talking about some kind of the biblical basis for understanding of this. And then we kind of shifted focus to what the church can do to help people that they see are in these having these struggles. But I want to shift focus now to the people that are going through these struggles themselves and ask, what would you tell if somebody who actually comes to you and says, hey, you ask them, hey, are you having these struggles? Are you feeling depression? And they say yes. I mean, if there's somebody watching the show right now that's struggling with some of this, what do you say to them?
First of all, I would say you are not alone. You are not alone. God sees you, God hears you, and there are people around you. Go to a trusted friend and talk to a friend. I want you to call your doctor, get an appointment. Call a therapist, and you can look those up. The things that you can do to help yourself right now. Let's do some deep breathing together, Ken.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
I wrote this down. I'm going backwards.
I didn't know this
on
was
my
going to be
list.
a host participation exercise. Let's do it.
One thing that I like to do is a deep breathing is called 4-7-8. So what we're going to do, I'll tell you what we're going to do first, and then we'll do it. And then you at home can practice it.
You can tell she
too.
deals with students. She's like, giving these, okay, wait, listen to the instructions first, and then we'll do it. Don't jump the gun.
You're going to inhale slowly for 4 seconds. You're going to hold that breath for 7 seconds, and then you're going to blow it out slowly for 8 seconds. What that does is activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is what you use to go to sleep. And you can do this if you have insomnia or you just want to go to sleep. So we're going to put our feet flat on the floor, feel the chair, feel the floor. You can put your palms up if you want. Same thing, people at home, just relax. Okay, let's breathe in for 4 seconds. Okay, hold it. Blow it out slow for 8. And that is called 4-7-8. You can do that a few times and it'll make you feel nice and calm.
I'm already calm.
Doesn't it feel calm? It does. 4-7-8 works. And then there's another. So the thing with anxiety is your body is saying you're in danger. And we have that flight or fight
Yeah.
when you are in a fright, flight or fight that we had when we were in the jungle or when we really did need to fight. But now when we're stressed out, we're having that same cortisol response, but we don't need all that.
Mm-hmm.
So our body is saying, you're in danger, run, 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 run. Be excited, you're in danger, you got to fight. But you're, most likely not. You're probably not in danger. So what you can do is ground yourself. A grounding exercise that I like to do with the kids and with myself is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So what you do, and I have to write it down for myself, and Chloe, if I'm wrong, you can text in.
Oh, she already did.
We're going to quietly look around for 5 things you see, and you're making a list in your head. Like, I see the wall. I see the light. I see the camera. The table. The cord. That's telling me where I am. And then we are going to touch 4 things that are around us. Table. Might touch your shirt. Might touch the microphone. Touch my pants. Now we're going to do 3 things that we smell or hear. 3 things that we hear. You gotta be real quiet for that. And then 2 things that you can smell. And then the last thing I do with the kids is 1 thing that you feel and 1 thing that you like about yourself. And that will get you grounded. So like, I'm right here right now. I'm not in that scary place. And you can do that anywhere. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And Chloe did say or freeze on there.
For the flight or flight. Yeah.
Or fight or flight or freeze.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Or freeze.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fight, flight, or freeze. Like, I can't, I'm so overwhelmed, I can't go anywhere.
Yep.
Thanks, Chloe.
If you
So those are some grounding exercises. So if you are struggling right now, you want to do some deep breathing, you want to do some grounding exercise. A website that I love on YouTube is called Therapy in a Nutshell. She can help you with a lot of stuff. Listen to a podcast, read, get into therapy.
Listen to this podcast.
Go to small group. Get some trusted friends and go to your small group. Isolation is the worst. When the enemy came in Genesis 3, he separated Adam and Eve.
Yeah, and isn't that part of the struggle?
Yes,
you
go.
triggered me, and I know you want to say something too, BA, and I'll let you get it. But something she just said, it reminds me of my own personal experiences going through this. Isolation is the worst, and yet that was my
what you wanna
struggle. It's like
do.
I was isolating myself, and so I was only making it worse as opposed to better. And I'm sorry, you were going to say something too.
So I was going to say, if you forget the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because I struggle with this at home sometimes, I had to remember like scratch and sniff, see, feel, hear, smells good.
Yeah.
5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 good thing about yourself, or 1 thing that you love.
Awesome. He got it. Get some medicine. And medicine is not like you take 1 pill, now I'm happy. You got to take it for a while, and you might have to switch it and might have to be mixed up. But that is for you and your doctor to decide. Journaling.
Sorry, BA, you saw it too, right?
What?
Give her credit. Come on, give her a shout out.
Who?
That was really good.
Sylvia?
Sylvia,
said
what'd she say?
Journal. Yeah, she said journal right there. I thought you were reading it.
I have YouTube on my phone, so yeah, I'm showing her.
Journaling is the single most therapeutic thing that I do because your journal cannot talk. You can write whatever you say. Nobody is grading it. You can write your prayers out. You can write out your feelings. You can do something called a brain dump. When you have a bunch of stuff in your head, just write. And there is something from going from your head to your fingers to the paper that is very therapeutic. I have tons of journals. And sometimes when I go back and read them, I'm like, what in the world was I thinking? But at the time, it was so important. And you can see the Lord working. Exercise, 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 exercise. Ben, I think that's online now, Ben Gorski told me that in Sweden, he can correct me if I'm wrong, they will actually write you out a prescription for do 10 jumping jacks, or do this or do that. And my doctor yesterday told me as part of what I'm supposed to do is walk 30 to 60 minutes per day. Fellowship, which is a churchy word for have friends and go out with them. Eat right, eat whole foods. Not that I eat all whole foods, but just feed your body good stuff. And sleep hygiene, so important. We need 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night. Turning off the phone and the screens. And,
So when you're lying in bed at night with the TV on, that doesn't count as sleep time, you're saying. When I'm watching TV, I actually have to turn it off.
Yes.
And go, oh, that's what I've been doing wrong all this time.
Yeah.
Because it's the brain waves, it's telling your brain to be active. And, you might want to make a little sleep habit. Take a bath, read a book. Oh, okay. This is something that I love to do that helps me train my brain, get new neural pathways. 3 good things. This exercise is called 3 good things. Writing down 3 good things that happen to you each day. And what did you have to do with it? So like today in my journal, I'm going to write 3 good things. What is today? Wednesday, 8/24. Got to do the podcast with Ken. Did a presentation. Had some hot soup. There's like 3 good things that happened to me. And that way, I'm starting to train my brain to look for the good because we naturally want to go to the bad. So I'm retraining my brain.
We have another comment online, BA?
Oh, yes, we do. Chloe says,
okay.
BA will read it to us.
Go ahead.
Find someone who can support you as you navigate the medical space for therapy and psychiatry.
Oh, yeah. You need a person to go with you that knows more than you do, that can help you out. You need some help to help you because it may seem very overwhelming, like, oh, just go get some therapy.
And bring it back around to what the church can do. That's actually, you mentioned the heart ministry here. For people don't understand, that's one of the primary functions of the heart ministry is to help people navigate. We have people who know the system, and if you're feeling intimidated, if maybe the reason that you're not seeking out the help you need, whether it be physical, mental health, whatever, is because you're kind of worried or concerned, you don't know where to go, you don't know how to navigate it, you don't know what to do. That's part of what our heart ministry does. It's just be a matter of sitting down with someone and explaining what to expect, what to do. That's something I think the church can do to help out people with these mental health issues that they're struggling with.
That's kind of like a social worker.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be an actual social worker. It can be somebody that maybe have struggled with this and have some resources for you. Also, you can ask the big G in the sky.
Yeah.
Google. You can put local therapists near me. And I know in psychology today, they do list therapists. So that you can look it up online too.
And so that's, I guess, to kind of bring this all to a head here, as we're running out of time. I know, and you thought you weren't going to have enough to talk about. That's kind of what I want to encourage people out there to think of is that getting back to what I said at the very beginning, there's a balance. Yes, our Christian faith does say that we have the spiritual element. There are demons out there. There are, tempting and leading us down the wrong path, and we need to be aware of that. And I've met many a pastor and professionals who kind of can help in those types of situations and can help discern those types of situations. But the fact that we have that spiritual struggle and the spiritual battle we fight does not negate the fact that we also have these mental health struggles, legitimate mental health struggles, and these physiological struggles. And there are ways that we can also there are your counselors, your psychologists, your psychiatrists. I'm sorry, I just hit the microphone, BA. Hopefully it didn't boom in your ear. There's things we need to be willing to help people get the help they need. And I'm going to kind of wrap up what I'm saying here, and then I'll let you close with anything you want to close with, Valerie, with a story that I told BA and my daughter earlier today. It's a little anecdote that, a little joke that maybe people have heard. But I think it's very illustrative of what we've been talking about today, and sometimes some failings of the church in recognizing this. And it goes like this. There was a man who was at his house, and there was a big flood coming. And maybe you've heard this before, but don't skip to the punchline if you have. And so the government, they'd issued an evacuation order, said everybody's got to get out. This is going to be a flood of the century. And the guy didn't leave. He said, you know what? I'm trusting God to provide for me and trusting God to protect me. So the police officer comes by and says, hey, there's an evacuation order. You got to get out of here. Why don't you come get in my car and I'll get you out of here? And the guy says, no, I've prayed to God. I'm trusting God to help and protect me. In the meantime, he doesn't leave, and the flood comes and starts filling up with water. And now he has to climb to the second floor of his house. And now somebody comes by in a boat and they're talking through the window, and they say, look, this flood's really bad. You really got to get out of here. And the guy says, no, I'm trusting in God. I've prayed to God. I'm trusting God's going to provide for me. And the guy says, okay, I can't make you come. And the boat drives off. And meanwhile, the floodwaters keep coming. So now this guy's up on the roof, all right? And a helicopter comes by and says, we're here to get you out of here. And the guy says, no, I've prayed. I'm trusting God to provide for me, to care for me. Well, the helicopter leaves. Guy ends up passing away, and now he's up in heaven, and he's talking to God, and he says, God, why didn't I trusted you to provide for me? Why didn't you provide for me? And God looks at him and says, what do you think the police car, the boat, and the helicopter were for?
Right.
And so God can work through other people.
Yeah.
And so if you're struggling with some of this, part of what we as the church need to do is, first of all, we need to be willing to be those other people, to let God work through us to help people who are in need. And also, like you said, get people to the professional help that can actually help them out in their mental health struggles. I don't think we can't be elevating the spiritual aspects so much, as important as those are. And if somebody's having a legitimate demonic issue, then we need to get them the help they need there too. Mm-hmm. But we can't be so blinded by that we don't allow people to get the help, the professional help they need for the what I'll just call the legitimate mental health issues that they might be struggling with.
And thank God we do have Christians out there that are going into this field and are in this field. And like Cloud and Towson, Dr. Cloud and Towson, that wrote Boundaries and so many other books. They're out there because we are spirits. We have a soul.
Yes.
And we live in a body.
Did you know that psychology, the word psychology actually originally means, I think it's Greek or something it comes from, means the study of the soul.
There you go.
And now, of course, I saw somebody write one time and said it's kind of ironic that, so many psychologists nowadays ignore the soul and don't even, acknowledge that. And they're all purely secular. But that's where originally got its meaning from. It's the study of the soul. And so I think, if you can find a good professional counselor from a Christian perspective that can kind of balance out, understand it, like you're saying, you are a person, you have a body and you have a soul, and we need to, treat the whole person in this regard.
Yeah, I do think that a holistic approach is the thing you want to do. There are some programs that people could listen to, like New Life Live, which is a podcast, and they give some great advice that is scriptural and also professional that can help you. And I guess to wrap it up today, I was reading Psalm 34, and I just wanted to read some. This is a good psalm for you to read when you're feeling bad. Psalm 34 says, I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. And I'm going down to 6. It says, this poor man cried, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all his troubles. And 18 says this, the Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit. And finally, 19 says, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivereth him out of them all. And he may be delivering you through prayer, and it may be I want somebody to put oil on me and cast out demons if that's what they see.
Mm-hmm.
But it may be you need to exercise. It may be you need some medicine. It may be increase your water. It may be go to bed. It may be all of those things.
Right.
So I don't think it's a either or. It is spirit and it is the body. It's the professional and it is the pastor.
Yeah, absolutely. BA, we have anything else here before we sign off from you?
No, that is about it.
That's about it. All right. Well, I want to, again, encourage everybody. If you look at the topic of today was, does the church care about my mental health? And we at the top answered the question, does God care about your mental health? And the answer to that based on the Bible is clearly yes. And therefore the church should care about your mental health. Hopefully we've been able to give some practical advice as well today as far as what churches can do to, first of all, what to look for to see when members of their congregation might be struggling, and also what they can do to help them out, and also some advice for people that are going through those struggles as well. So we hope this has been a blessing to you. And just by way of reminder, again, if you want to have a topic of anything about Christianity, the Christian faith, the church, that you would like to see us talk about on a future episode of Hey, Ask Me Stuff, the way you go about doing that is you go, number one, you can go to our website, trinityjoppa.org/askmestuff, and fill out that form, or go on to Reddit, and our subreddit is Talk About God, and you can send us a message there in the lounge, or you can answer one of the prompts or one of our posts that we put out there in that subreddit, usually each Monday. Be happy to take a look at those, and who knows, you put it out there, maybe your topic will be one of the ones we cover on a future episode here. Also, please don't forget to like this video if you did like it. Share it. Everybody out there knows someone who is struggling. Even if you don't think you know someone that's struggling, guess what? You know one who's struggling. So share this on all your social media. Let people know about this episode. You never know who might be blessed from it and might get some information out of it that they really need to hear. And again, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click that notification bell so you don't miss any of the important and great videos that we have that we're posting. We got even more new programming coming up, including the 513 show. We'll be premiering sometime in September. What was that? That's a pretty good job. It's already filmed. I guess you gave Robert a whole lot more time to finish editing it by saying February. No, it'll be premiering in September, and that's for our musicians out there. That's going to be, BA, you've been more involved in that show even than I have. If you had to describe people what the 513 show is all about, what would you say in 2 sentences or less?
2 sentences. All right. The 513 show is a deeper dive into why a musician chooses the instrument that they do to worship God.
There you go. That's a good one. I like that. So that'll be premiering sometime here in September, so keep an eye out for that. And, of course, we've got the worship services and everything else on here as well. So as we sign off here today, I want to first say a special thank you to B.A. Thomas, our producer back there. Producer extraordinaire. Is that better than calling you lovely?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it.
All right. He's here for us every week, so thank you very much. And obviously, a very extra special thanks to Valerie Hunter, who, when she woke up this morning, didn't even know she was going to be doing this show.
But I'm so glad to be here.
I'm glad it worked out scheduling-wise and thrilled that you agreed to do this, because I think this show ended up being a whole lot better with you here than it would have been with me by myself.
We only need Ken.
So, and thank you to everybody who commented online and was part of the conversation today. And just by way of reminder, just because you're not watching it live doesn't mean you can't comment. Go ahead and throw a comment down there in the comment section if you're watching this after the fact. If you got a question for Valerie, hey, I work with her, so I can see the comment and I can make sure and bring it to her, and we can try to help you out that way too.
I just wanted to invite people to Mountain Christian Church. On Fridays is CR, which is for your hurts, hang-ups.
CR is what? Somebody doesn't know what CR is.
Celebrate Recovery. Yeah. I'm sorry. Celebrate Recovery is at Mountain on Joppa. In Joppa, there's on Friday night starting at 6. At Mountain in Aberdeen on Monday nights. Mount Zion has a CR, Celebrate Recovery, on Thursdays, and it is national. Yeah. So you can find a group. CR is just Celebrate Recovery is like is a 12-step 12-step program based on AA, but the higher power is Jesus. But it's not just addictions. Yeah. Any hurt, hang up, or where you need help.
And we do have a program here at Trinity called Grief Share as well. That's
Yes.
it's a little more narrow than obviously Celebrate Recovery. It's specifically focused on people who are dealing with
Grieving.
grief and the same kind of thing. And if you want more information about that, I can put that in the description as well. Tom Reed here from our Heart
Yes.
program is the one that oversees that.
So anything that you are struggling with, I bet
There's something here if you're in this area that can help you out.
we can hook you up.
Yeah, we got it.
Yes.
So, all right. Thank you again
My pleasure.
very much. Thank you, BA.
B.A. the
And-
lovely.
Thank you to everybody who is watching. Remember, we are live every Wednesday at 3 o'clock. So join us again next week. See you then. God bless.
Bye.